My whole inspiration was my daughter. I said, if I can touch somebody the way that he touched us, I mean, it makes it great.
Tonight we have a really special surprise, actually. So Al Keith told you a little bit about his background and that he's a respiratory therapist. What he didn't tell you is that 30 years ago, in 1985, he had a daughter named Adrienne Renee, who was born prematurely.
I mean, I was terrified because I didn't know what was going on. There were alarms going off and there were so many things happening in the unit. So over time, I started picking his brain and asking him questions about the ventilator. What is this? How does this work? Well, how do you set that? Well, what is this? What is that? And
I was on the patient care team over at Harbor UCLA Medical Center, talking to Al about their babies out there inside this little warmer, and they have a lot of fears and questions. So I started engaging in conversation.
Peter was a respiratory therapist who stood there beside him for those 7 weeks, taught him how to read the monitors, how to soothe his struggling daughter, and who was actually there with him in the last moments of her life.
Unfortunately, Adrienne had passed away, and then I think it was about a week later or so that you came back to the hospital, and Al had mentioned, you know, I'm going to be moving back to Chicago, and I was hoping that you would be able to write me a letter of recommendation because I'm thinking about going to respiratory care.
Little did Peter know that he inspired Al to go on and to become a respiratory therapist, and consequently over the last 28 years to help millions and millions of people himself. And so we have searched the U.S. over, and we have found Peter Wang, and he is here tonight.
the emotions started rushing back so quickly. I could see him, I could see the unit, I could see Adrienne. I realized this is something that I really wanted to do. But when she passed away after 7 weeks, I decided this is something that I am going to do. Within 4 years, I had become house supervisor for pediatric respiratory at University of Chicago and coordinator of the neonatal unit.
I'm just very humbled at what had happened, and to see what Elle did, and I'm like, this is great.
We had no contact with each other for 30 years. I want to thank Tanya and my wife for, I don't know how they pulled that off, but they did. It just shows you what you can do and what can happen when you're inspired by someone. And he is truly a role model. And one of the reasons and part of the reason that I became a respiratory therapist. So thanks, buddy. Appreciate you, man.